Welcome back. This time we're going to be doing some more advanced coloring. Okay, so where we left off last time, we were sort of just working over the fire, refining shapes. Most of this, the tutorial from here on will just be me sort of refining rough shapes into sort of more defined shapes. Now, there's a few tools I use for this. I still use the hard paintbrush, but a trick I've found is sort of painting it in with a hard paintbrush and then erasing an edge, just like I did then, with a soft eraser, an eraser with maximum softness. So it sort of gives, like, you can define sharp lines, but also fade it into nothing. And that's pretty much the trick I use for everything to refine. So I'll paint it in as I'm doing now, and then, you know, where necessary, say I need some shading, I'll put it on a new layer and then paint in the shading and then erase it away. Still messing around with some of the more minor bits of the composition still. Playing around with removing some of this black space and adding just some objects in there, even if they're dark. Maybe add some crabs there. I think I stole one of those crabs from the screenshot that I pulled up before. It's just sort of sitting there. It doesn't really look too much like a crab, but it doesn't really matter. It's just there for now. Quite like this purple that's creeped into the bottom right of the image, so I kind of went with it and put a ton more purple down there via an overlay layer. And there's that trick again, just painting it in and then erasing it away, and that's pretty much the, from here out you won't see any more tricks. There's the overlay layers and then just the painting and then erasing with a soft brush. That's pretty much my entire workflow. And you just refine and refine until you reach a point where you're happy with the image, or you know, you're bored with the image. One of the two. Just killing that fire a bit. Just gonna rebuild it from scratch. I think the smoke and everything was a bit too much. Alright, just going to extend the campground a bit and do my best to remove some of this black. I think it's a bit excessive. Again, just starting with a big brush. Wherever I restart work, you'll see me using kind of broad brush and big strokes and just trying to get the rough shapes down. Might trial a tree just to try and center the user's eye around that fireplace. Add some trees to the other side too. I think that'll do a nice job of bringing the user's eye towards the center and then let the brightness of the fire do the rest. Might just size this up a bit. I don't think it's quite right yet. Don't be afraid to you know, adjust elements like I just did either. I think it's really important that you get over your fear of details, and this is why I said you'll be wasting your time by going to a small brush and, you know, painting details in the first step of your concept, because I've literally nuked like half the details that I just painted in the previous video. So I might just cut this out and use it as a seat too. So it was kind of a cool bit of, I guess, a cool bit of the painting that was kind of underutilized. He feels a bit lopsided right now, so I may have to adjust that pretty soon. Like he's gonna fall off the cliff. Alright, there goes the Gaussian blur again on the sand, just to try and smooth it out. Now, I suggest you put Gaussian blur on the hotkey and just get used to using it. It's a great way just to quickly smooth out details. Say you want clouds or sand or something like that that requires like a smooth look really quickly without having to paint it. I'm just putting a color layer in there just to try and bend the user's eye towards the brightness of the fire, making the right side of the image much more washed out, and I guess blue. Just refining the second character's shape for now. Call him Fabio. Believe it or not, this is the first time I drew a fireplace, well, beyond something that's pixel art, so I had to do a bit of research into what a fireplace actually looks like. So you'll see this evolve over probably the next video or two. Just add a bit more contrast to that fire with the bits of wood. As I mentioned earlier, it's quite important that that fire just grabs the user's eye. Just using a bit of color burn there to get some deeper reds, oranges and reds out of the fireplace. Now, of course, you can look through all my Photoshop files on my site, so if you get confused about what I'm doing each layer, then definitely just pop over to my site and check it out. Just using a bit of a screen layer. Screen's good for just brightening stuff up. I think that should be alright for now. Let's Alright, so this is the shading trick I was mentioning earlier. You just you paint in the shape and then erase it with a soft brush. You can see I'll start to flesh out some of these rocks with the same method. For the most part, if there's a blob on the concept art, I'll try and just like make it work with itself. Like if it sort of looks like a rock, I'll do my best just to turn it into a rock. I won't go out of my way to make it something that it doesn't look like. There's a few reasons I do that. I guess the first one is the overall picture. If it looks fine as kind of loose lines and you know your eyes fill in the blanks, then doing details the way that it currently looks is a pretty good tactic because it won't change the overall look of the concept art, and that's pretty important. So yeah, if it looks like just some loose lines and I can sort of see a rock in there somewhere, I'll do my best to refine it just into a rock and then leave it alone. I won't do too much more to it. Now this process can take, you know, an hour or a whole day. I mean, you can spend as much as you want on details, and some people do. You'll notice a lot of concept artists just kind of stop at a certain point. You know, it's quite common that you see concept art that's rather rough, and the point of concept art is to kind of communicate a scene to someone, and you don't need to spend forever on details to do that. Some concept art works just as, you know, rough lines, so keep that in mind when you're doing it, and there's always a right place to stop. You don't have to go to the extreme levels that you see on you know, my finished piece, for example. Alright, so thank you for watching. If you'd like to check out the source files, just head over to my site at www.farmergnome.com, and next up we'll be doing details.